Well, hey, it's Friday and we're both here. Welcome to the Friday Grief Chat with
I'm
Jill and Deb together, finally.
finally, Jill, I know you were having a great time with your grandkids. I saw the picture, your brand new grandbaby. You had
Brand
to
new.
go,
He's like that big.
and it adorable.
Right. He was only supposed to be born about a week ago, and he's actually more than a month old now.
Wow, that is just beautiful, and congratulations.
And I held him and
And
didn't break him.
no, you did not break him. Uh, I just want to say, basically, Steve and I sort of ran the show. He
I
was in the
bet.
chat the whole time. It was great. And is it my imagination, or did something happen like the week before when
The
I
week
was
before,
gone?
my mic didn't work, and
Oh,
I didn't know it because nobody messaged me while I was on.
oh,
So, yeah, that's all right. We sometimes have a floof, and that was a floof. But
that
we're
was,
not going to have a floof today because I can hear you, so I know my mic is working.
it is. Oh my
Yep, and I'm
goodness.
back where it's not 22 degrees. For
Uh
those
huh.
of you in the Midwest on East Coast, I don't know about this whole why I live somewhere where it's 22 degrees.
Let
I was
me,
actively grieving my sunshine
uh
and,
huh.
and lanes on freeways that I could see because
Uh-huh.
that was a loss too while I was in Kansas.
I bet it was. I am looking at our um right now it's 53 degrees,
Yeah, I'm
which
okay with 53. I
yeah,
mean, I'm
I'm still a
chilly.
little chilly. I'm wearing my hat, I'm wearing a
Yeah.
snowman
Yeah, right
scarf.
now it's we're actually kind of cold here too. It's 55 right now. But
Wow.
it'll get up to about 68 today. But no, it was
Ah,
there's this thing for those of us on the West Coast, if you don't know about this, there's a thing called winter mix. And
yes.
winter mix is rain, ice, snow, sleet, all mixed up together. And then at night it freezes into a sheet of ice.
Ugh. Ugh. I
Right?
mean, that's sort of normal here, but it's not. Um,
I don't understand it. And my grandmother was born in Kansas. And
uh-huh.
yeah, we are Kansas people to some degree, but not me. I'm a West Coast
Uh-uh.
person.
Uh-uh.
No, that kind of behavior of the weather is just it's not okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I just always used to think it was just amazing. Wait, I'm just turning down my phone. That when we would go out west for like any December holiday or anything, and it was like in the 60s, and people were like freezing and they were all bundled up.
Oh, absolutely. We don't
And
wear
I'd
shorts in
be
this weather.
wearing shorts or a little sweater. I'm like, why are they getting all worked up about this? This isn't winter coat.
I
You're
was at
still
a
wearing
holiday
your
concert. Yeah,
shorts.
I
Huh?
was at a holiday concert for my youngest grandson here. Yes, last night, and they live up on the pass, so it's chillier. And it was probably 50 when we got out, maybe 47. And my son-in-law was wearing shorts. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm freezing to death. I didn't have time to change."
Huh? Very interesting.
We
No,
don't do this weather that you people do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not like Canadians, and well, maybe some are, like they're in their shorts, a winter jacket, and using the smoker,
Or
or
flip-flops.
barbecuing or flip.
Yep.
Well, flip. Look at, I have nothing to say about people who wear flip flops in the snow because many people know um, I'm sort of in charge of the Naked Snow Angel Club.
Oh
So,
my Lord. Okay, people, you are doing humor, grace, and grief with the Naked Snow Angel Club president.
well, I'm not the president, but I do sign the certificates.
Raise your hands for any of you in our viewing audience who want to be part of such a club. Because I'm going to be where it's warm.
Ah,
I will be in the look at the snow from the warm hot tub.
oh,
And Steve wants pictures.
you know, this is a grief story.
Mhm.
I'll tell it quickly. When my mother died in March of 98, and I also had no more parents. So it was not only like I was part of the orphan club, I don't have a
Right.
mother club, and I'm like 40 or 41. And I decided, so there was on New Year's Eve, or maybe it was the 27th, might have been just the 27th. I get a call from one of my friends who's part of these clubs and says, "Are you going to join?" Because we just had 3 feet of snow out there. And I said, "You know what? I'm feeling like," I described feeling really old because I had had so much grief through the holidays. It was my first holiday without my mom.
Mhm.
And I said, "I'm feeling old. I think I'm going to do something like this to like shock my system," which people do that in other ways, right? They buy a new car, they go on a trip. They want to move away from that old feeling, that
Mhm.
grief feeling. So the shorter story is I said, "Okay." And I knew there was a pizza in the oven and I would probably be alive to get the pizza, right?
Okay.
So I asked my daughter, who was 14 or 15 at the time, and she said, "No, I'm not going to do such a thing." And I went, "Okay." So here's my robe. She goes, "I'm not going to hold your robe while you step outside." We had a sliding glass door. I put on a hat and I put on like Birkenstocks or shoes or something. And I said, "Here goes." And I go like this into the snow, make my angel. I sit up. But by this time, my daughter has locked the screen door. So she locked me out. And if anybody remembers the Flintstones, when Dino locked out Fred and he was
Yes.
screaming Wilma, I was screaming, it wasn't Wilma. And then finally, my daughter let me back in, and I'm like, "Whoa." And then the oven's going off because I got to get the pizza out. And I'm like, "But I did it. You
Yes,
know,
you
I
did, and
feel
you
so,
changed it up.
I, that is the key with grief during the holidays. What are you willing to change up just to get out of that?" I'm looking at the emojis of Debbie, Jake, and Frankel, and she's just like, "No, no, you did not do this." And
Not
I'm like,
doing that.
"Yes, I did."
N
And do you know, since that time, I have gotten my neighbor to do that. It's usually a ritual we do together. We hadn't been able to get it together the last few years, but we do it. We make it a special change up time.
Mhm.
And if anybody wants to do it, do send me a private message on my Facebook page or even on this Facebook page, and I'll get you a certificate. I don't need any pictures. I just need your word that you did it, and I will sign this certificate and send it to you.
I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
That's a throwdown. Those of us who live in the mountains here in Southern California, you could join the throwdown. And
Uh-huh.
it is when we are in the middle of holidays and we are in the middle of grief, that
Hmm.
change up really does sort of do a reset on your brain,
It does.
and it allows you to at least take that step back and not
Exactly.
have to look so in depth at everything that has changed. Just look at what am I going to change from here forward
Hmm.
instead of what am I missing from back and not needing to replicate everything that was.
Right. Right. And it takes a certain risk,
Mhm,
and you have to be ready for it.
mhm.
And what are some, not everybody has to make a naked snow angel. But what other traditions have you, Jill, at any time? I know this is the first Christmas without your mom and any parents,
Right?
right? So this is, do you have a plan or I know Thanksgiving you changed up,
We completely changed up Thanksgiving, and we've done that a few times because my second wife, Casper, died right after Thanksgiving, and
right?
she could not eat during the Thanksgiving period. And so it sort of took some of the joy of, making a big, huge meal again the next year out. And we started leaving town on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And we debated leaving town for Christmas, but that was just too much change. And literally, I have too much to do because I
Right,
need to get her house emptied by the 31st of December for the most part.
right,
So
right.
we're changing up Christmas in that we are doing things separately. We're doing things smaller. We're keeping
Mhm.
one tradition, two traditions for certain. One is Christmas Eve services because I love the candlelight service and it centers me. And number two, we spend every Christmas night with the neighbors who used to live in the house I now own and all of the extended family. And I will probably be the only extended family. My sister may show up, I don't know. But
Mhm.
that's a connection I need to keep. The rest of it, we're
Mhm.
just gonna wing it because this is Stacy's first with me, with both of us having no parents, and her brother has now moved to Georgia. So her family is separating out too. So it's time to reclaim. We'll spend some time with our grandkids.
Yes.
And we have a plan to do gingerbread house making with my sister and her
Mhm.
family, even though everyone's a grown up.
Mhm.
Just the heck of it. But yeah, it's this is going to be the year where we just sort of flounder through it
Sure.
because firsts can sometimes seem daunting, but seconds are sometimes worse.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so we're just gonna kind of change it up as we go along. Um, it's also the time of year where we've had lots of losses in this family. So
Mhm.
we lost Casper and we lost my dad, and it's also my mom and dad's birthdays. So we have all those things and Casper's birthday. We have a lot of crunching going on in
You
December.
do. You
So I've
do.
taken time off work in a much bigger way than I normally do. And I can't encourage people enough who can't afford to do it.
Mhm.
Walk away and put your cell phone down.
You know, a couple things. What are some other suggestions around Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa is sort of a later discovered holy day that
Mhm.
people can do, or the New Year's, that can really help them change it up.
They can
Uh,
change who they spend it with.
yeah.
They can include new people. Lots of times, if you've lost people, then other people have probably lost those folks too, unless it was a sudden and unexpected loss.
Hmm.
Um, you can go to the shelter and adopt a new senior friend and
Uh-huh.
include them. You can spend the day in service or spend another day in service and give back to your community and focus on something other than your loss,
Hmm.
but do it in the name of the person who died
Right.
so that their name is shared and is part of it, right?
There
You,
was, I wanted to add um, estrangement at this time of year,
which is a loss.
which is a major loss. Losing a job at this time of year, another major loss.
Double crunch.
Double crunch because you know, either you go into severe debt or you limit some things, and that's
Mhm.
all different. And what about not not just losing a job? What about being divorced? And now
Being
it's
without a
mom's
partner for the
house,
first time.
dad's house. How do you start doing holidays? You
It's
know?
all of that, and that's where you have to really plan. If it's mom house, dad house, or parent house, you really have to plan it
Mhm.
out, of course, and make sure the kids don't feel like I had one kid who told me they felt like a suitcase,
Yeah, exactly.
and so we don't want kids to feel like suitcases, nor do we want to if we are not comfortable With
Mhm.
where we are at the holidays,
Mm.
maybe we do need to change it up and go someplace else.
Absolutely. You know, we don't talk about this so much. It's also okay to be angry.
Hmm.
It's okay to be angry at dead people,
It's
right?
okay to be relieved that a sick person is no longer here and sick and totally dependent on you.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your thinking when you're relieved that you don't get to see them suffering.
There has been a lot of conversation about that this last couple weeks with
Hmm.
folks I know, and there's that guilt about how do I feel relief that someone has died, and yet that and piece, and yet you really are glad they're not suffering anymore. They're not confused and scared
Hmm.
anymore. They're not in pain anymore. You're not having to make decisions anymore. That you can actually do something with your holiday season, even if you do nothing with it, but you're not staying up all night at the hospital, at a
Right.
nursing home, all the stressors that go with being a caregiver.
Hmm.
And yes, you can be angry if someone has made if someone's death has changed your life in a way that's made it harder.
You get to be angry. Or
Say so.
maybe you're just angry because you're not supposed to die during the holidays. What the hell is this?
And this is actually the busiest time of the year for mortuaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Morticians are not allowed to take time off, little known fact, anytime between the week before Thanksgiving, or even Halloween, and just up to Valentine's Day. That is forbidden time off. And that is because actually, factually, more people die then. And
Isn't that
families who have a
interesting?
loss at that time of year are sadder, needier. There's that whole thing about, but we need to have the service while everyone's here for the holidays, except the holidays are not available for burials, interments. Churches are busy, right? If it's Hanukkah,
Uh-huh.
synagogues are busy. Like there's a whole bunch of crunching that goes along with that.
Yeah.
And then there are expectations from lots of family members wanting it to be this or that. And
Oh
it
God,
just
yeah.
makes it crazy for anybody who works at end of life. Hospice
And
staff, too.
and I'm thinking, you get to be angry. You get
Hmm.
to be angry at the ignorance of family and friends, assuming they can tell you what they want when it's your parent or your kid or your spouse or your life partner, whatever, they died.
Telling you what to do and how to do and how to feel.
Yeah, yeah, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. No, you ain't got to do nothing
You can
until
choose how you respond, and you can respond differently every day or every hour.
that's absolutely correct.
I once went
And
to a hospice Christmas memorial, and there's a lot of those. Mortuaries do them, hospices do them.
mhm,
And unfortunately, the chaplain had a distinct religious bent instead of being non-denominational. And the entire message was you should be grateful and celebrating. And I thought, yeah, you are not at all comforting. By the time he finished, like three-quarters of everybody had left. His
good.
message wasn't reaching people because what folks who are grieving at the holidays want to hear is whatever you're doing is okay.
They want to hear that all the time, but you're more sensitive
Good correction.
during the holidays and
Hmm.
you react maybe with less resilience during the holidays. So I really hope that supervisor got called. Just saying.
Yep.
And yeah, I one of the reasons why I like Facebook at the holidays is something that helps me keep that balance of feelings of loss is the sarcasm and torturing of Elf on the Shelf. Or I just love the sarcasm. I love the potty humor. And that helps me. That wouldn't help somebody else. But I really appreciate the darker parts of humor.
Humor is a necessity when there's been loss at the holidays.
And sometimes the darker the humor, the more it's not aggression, but the more release, the more the bigger the release.
Yes.
There is a friend of mine. So for Hanukkah, usually there's jelly donuts because they're oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he got a warning on Facebook because it said warning, maybe a visual too graphic, because the jelly was coming out of the donut, which looked like, I guess, blood or something.
And jelly donut, a warning?
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. And I said, well, that's because they're ... killer donuts. And they were that good. So anyway, it's those kind of silliness that comes across that makes me go, just laugh out loud hard, because that pulls out some of that anxiety and tightness in your chest. It's sort of like doing certain yoga poses, or in laughter, in laughter yoga, or in just plain laughter exercises. There's one called the lion, and we may have done this one time when you go, rah, when you really pull that out. And when your chest is getting tight from either you watching something on TV, you're having a memory moment, you're having an anticipation moment, and that anxiety rises up, what do you do to, like, if you don't have any breakthrough medicine or something like that, what do you do to get that anxiety out? And for me, not for everyone, I mean, you and I share a similar sense of humor, but that dark humor, that for some people, they like slapstick humor. They don't want anybody to get dead, but they don't mind them slipping on a banana peel.
Right? That's why we have YouTube videos, folks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All the ones about stunts gone bad. Some folks really thrive on those.
And it helps them. I noticed my husband laughing hard at some slapstick that is prevalent. I once again, excuse me, Friends actually has a lot of slapstick moments in it. And Norman Lear just died, right?
Mm-hmm.
And any of his programs that can put out relevant humor, and relevant for that time. I mean, there's bigots all over the place, but when Archie Bunker said it, it made you laugh.
And it made you think.
And it makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we do have a really large population in so many ways who are being targeted with ugly right now in the middle of all this and in the middle of losses. And those folks need to find ways to really come to terms with it and to find some meaning and to still find some joy. I know Debbie Jenkins Frankel is going to be doing a thing on her page that I sometimes help out with, Private Practice Grief, talking about the meaning of putting up the lights. And for those who follow her, you should be watching that at 11 o'clock. But we need to find some ways to find meaning.
Yes.
and to bring the joy back when we want it, and also to not be joyful if we don't want to.
You know, I'm a risk taker,
Mhm.
and the loss this season, I have been feeling that I need to put the Jewish self out there more, where there's a whole part that is not doing that because of fear.
Right.
And so I tend to, I mean, I'm sure my husband's a little reluctant, but I bought 2 blow up Hanukkah things to put on the lawn
We have
this
a
year.
menorah in our front window along with my Swedish Christmas candelabra.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I decided we're putting it out. If it gets hit with a BB gun, so be it. And I just have to do that. It's
Yeah.
like not any other year that I've been here, and it'll be 30 years, have I done that. But this, I feel, needs to be done. And I want to, uh,
It's a form of grief and a form of
yes,
celebration and a form of marking heritage all at the same time.
yes. It's
Mhm.
like thumbing my nose at the fear that I shouldn't be what I am,
Mhm.
much like how you've described your neighbor on Facebook,
She's so
right?
special. Yep.
Yes. And,
Mhm.
it's sometimes you just need to put your grief out there and wave it in someone's face.
Do
I
something
mean, I
positive with it.
it is okay. I am giving you permission that if you need to put a black band with, on a tree outside for everybody know this is a grieving house. I mean, they used to do things
We
like,
used to have Queen Victoria set that up for us quite nicely. There was a whole series of events, which I think she secretly patterned after the Jewish mourning traditions, right? And up until the 11th month when you reveal the headstone,
that's right.
right? So there was the mourning clothing, and then there was the mourning jewelry, and
Right.
there was the mourning wreath, and the mourning household that went to just the mourning wreath on the door. There are a whole series of things.
Yes.
Men wore the band on their clothing. That was directly borrowed from Jewish tradition,
Yes.
right?
And what about, and nowadays in Jewish tradition, they,
The
instead of
tearing,
ripping your shirt, they rip a black ribbon that you wear on
right?
you. And, that sort of makes it easier to identify so people can sort of, uh, you know, try not to be callous around a person who just lost or just had I don't like to use the word loss, but someone who has just died close to you, because
I
only people who are close to the deceased wear that. And it's such a great identifier.
There are also churches that now do blue Christmas services. Our church is doing one. I have not seen any in any other religious traditions this time of year.
Mhm.
And Hanukkah is not a major holiday
No,
anyway.
no.
But um, but there is the oh, Steve says tonight is bring your menorah night to temple, singing, dancing, and embracing the lights. I'm so glad.
Oh, that's
The
great.
the blue Christmas tradition is those who suffer from mental health issues, depression, or have had losses,
Hmm.
or are coping with dementia. Those kinds of groups. There's a Christmas service that's quieter. It's not jingle bells. There's a message that doesn't involve happy, happy, nice, nice, right? It's acknowledging that the emotions that come with this time of service. And I think
Hmm.
that goes with, Debbie's observing of the meaning of putting up the lights and
Hmm.
looking at what the holidays are, because we need to be able to give folks who need space for support to find that
Hmm.
support,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So find your people, folks. We want you to, I mean, we're your people, obviously, right? Deb and I are your people, but and Debbie, um, but there's people around you. And if there's somebody you know who might also be sharing in loss this time of year, maybe that's who you want to go grab a cup of coffee with somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Peppermint mocha, I'm told it's all the rage.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't have it, but the rest
No.
of you can,
Hmm.
right? Go and have one for me, right?
Exactly.
Connect with the people who get where you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah, well, Jill, it's 12:30.
It
I
is
think
10:30. It is.
we packed a lot in.
We
And
did.
special thanks to Steve Altman and Debbie Jenkins Frankel for joining us today.
It was
And
nice having you here.
and remember, anybody that wants to join the Naked Snow Angel Club, you let me know.
Now I got to find something to match that by next week. How am I going to do that? Naked tumbleweed pictures?
Oh well,
I might. I
you
might.
might.
I might go grab some tumbleweeds off the hillside across the street from me.
I wouldn't be naked around a tumbleweed. That
I
hurts.
think you'd have to be careful, but I think we could pull it off. I'm going to work on this. All right. We'll see everybody back here next Friday. And if you're hearing this after the fact, thank you for joining our podcast. We love having you here. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.